Hi, this is Susan from Susan B. Cards. Today I'm going to be painting some die cuts. I am using the anemone flower, and it's from the Spellbinders collection called Fresh Picked. This is one that I received from Spellbinders, and I don't have the package, so I can't show you the package art for it. But it's a set of 9 dies, and I cut this from distressed watercolor paper. I used half a sheet and was able to cut everything. I didn't realize at the time that there were 4 stems but 3 flower heads, so I would have to cut 1 more flower head to put on the additional stem if I want to use it, and I think I do, because it fills up the A2 size card nicely this way. If I had known that, then I could have moved some of these around, because I did have some empty space, but now I don't think I have enough space on here to cut 1 more of these. What it looks like when it's cut. I haven't glued anything down. These are all the pieces. I just wanted to get a feel for what it would look like, since I didn't have the package art. So you can see that this is the center of the flower. This one has cut out dots, and this piece goes on top like this, and they're all the same. I have these additional pieces that I didn't actually put in there because I wasn't sure how I was going to lay it out. I will link it in my description below, so if you'd like to use my affiliate link, that would help me out a great deal. The Altenew watercolor set has 3 shades of red, so I'm going to use this middle one. It looks like it has a little bit more of a bluish tone to it, and I'm going to just quickly, probably a little bit more paint than I wanted, but I'm just going to quickly paint these. These are the back of the flowers. You know, I'll probably go back if it needs some kind of shading later. I'll go back and go ahead and do that later, but right now I'm just doing a quick wash on the back of the flowers. I know this is gonna dry much lighter, so I might do a second coat. I want this to be pretty vibrant because I'm gonna use a black background. So I'll just do this quickly and let this dry. Now I'm going to do this another shade, but a little bit lighter shade of red here. Oops. Again, these paints are pretty pigmented, so a little bit goes a long way. I'm going to let these dry, see what they look like, see how much more paint they need. I could already see that this one's actually pretty dry. It's lighter than I wanted. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a second coat on this one, and then let the whole thing dry. I don't really have a plan for this. I'm going to this is the first time I'm actually making this flower. Usually I put together the dies using some scraps and get an idea of what it's going to look like, but I didn't do that. I should move these green ones because I don't want them to get contaminated with any of the red. Probably could use heat gun and dry it a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry. I use the Columns Embossing folder by Spellbinders. It's part of the same collection, Fresh Picked. And I embossed black 110-pound cardstock. It's just an A2 size panel, and I just place it in here. It's actually easy to line up because you can look at the lines on the side to be sure that your paper is evenly spaced. And that way you're sure that you're not going to end up with a crooked embossing. If you want it straight, if you don't care, then it doesn't matter. But here it is, just black. And I started to put together the flowers. So I'll show you what I did to complete these. I took the stem and I just glued the back part of the flower on here. And I did go through with a marker, and because some of the edges of the paper didn't get watercolor, it was a little bit stark white. So I just went through and I inked the edges. I did the same thing with the flowers. I just inked the edges. And I did take this Polychromos pencil, and I just kind of darkened some of the lines that were already there. They're embossed into the paper when you die cut it, and it got a little bit washed out when I painted it. So I just went back through and I just colored it a little bit. Not too much. It was just all real simple coloring. I didn't spend a lot of time on that. So these are the other pieces. The center of the flower, which is yellow, and it has holes on top. And it fits right on top of the solid piece below it. So I'm just going to glue that together. Just a little bit of dried glue on my... So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on here. I almost always use my finger to kind of smooth it out. So this fits on there, and then you can see the orange through the holes. And then this will go right on top of this purple piece. Just put some glue here. You're not going to really see this entire piece because it's partially hidden by the top of the flower. And then I just kind of lined it up. I kind of went through here and I just wanted to see where I needed to glue the center of the flower. You want it to see, you want to be able to see it. You don't want it hidden, but you don't want it too high up either. So kind of get an idea. It mostly fits right below where the lines are ending. Whoops. So again, put a little glue here. There's some lines right there. I'm going to just put it right about there. I just want to see where, be sure this is in the right place before it completely sticks. That looks pretty good. Just let it dry for a minute. Now this top piece doesn't lie flat because there's two layers of the center, so it does sit a little bit forward, and that's fine. I just you just want to be sure that the bottom of the back part of the flower is hidden by the top. And that's it. And then I just usually put a little bit something on top so it stays in place. So I was thinking, there was a picture that I saw on the Spellbinders website, and I kind of like the way they had it arranged. I'm probably going to do that for this first one. I'm going to make another couple cards using this die set. I just think it's so pretty. But I think especially in this bright color against the black, it just kind of lends itself to, the colors actually lend itself to the abstract flowers, I think. So, you know, it may not be what you see in nature, but either is that flower. I die cut the fresh picked sentiments, and these are what they say. Smile, bloom, hello, hi, make a wish, thanks, and for you. Maybe doing a hello on my card. There isn't an outline or a shadow die. They're just straight sentiments. So I would probably stack this a couple times just to make it stand out. And I always keep scrap paper, so I would just try to find a fuchsia color close to this. This is also just a scrap that I had in my stash, but I'd find some other pink. Or the other thing you could do is offset white if you want to make a shadow on that. So I'll take a look and show you what my card looks like in the end. But this is the basic card. I'll think about if I'm going to put a border around it on my card or just leave it as it is. I die cut this hello sentiment 3 times out of the same paper. I had a scrap of it left, so I figured I might as well use it. And then I just glued it together, so it's a little bit thicker. It stands up a little bit more. And I'm trying to decide now if it gets lost in the leaves. So I had this idea, and I used to do this back when I didn't really have a lot of sentiments with shadow dies. But if you have a big chunky one like this, it's actually pretty easy to make a shadow. That's how it would look on the card. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use, but what you do is I would take the die, and this one says 4. Show you what it looks like die cut. So it says 4. So it's this way. But instead of using it this way, I would flip it like this and then take a sharp pencil. And then I would trace the outline. I trace the outline of the die. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to cut this out. And then you need a pair of sharp scissors and a pretty steady hand. You don't want a lot of jagged edges on this, but I'll show you how to fix some of the jagged edges as well. So you want to cut it close to the line. You could always go back and cut some more if it doesn't look good, or if some of your curves are just a little bit sharp. So again, you just need a sharp pair of scissors. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's not going to be as perfect as if you had a shadow die, but it's just if you want to get that little extra standout. I used to do this, and if you don't really look closely, you can't tell. You know, it's just so that the sentiment stands out. And my sentiment is so bold in that pink, and because I stacked it too, I think it looks good. So here you go. And then if you flip it over, since I did the back, you won't see the pencil mark. And then you can just glue that on here. Now, sometimes when you cut it, you might have a few of the edges that stand up a little bit, just because the cutting's not perfect. You know, you're doing this by hand with a scissors, not a die. So this is what I do. Now my plates, these plates that I have are a little bit roughed up. I've used this a lot. So I'm going to put this in like this, which is right side up, and then put an extra piece of paper on it so that you don't get all the marks from the cutting plates. And then just put that through, run it through, and it'll flatten those edges that might be sticking up. I mean, maybe you don't have those edges sticking up, and maybe you don't even care, but that's just a little extra something if you do. And then you just take it off. It's a little bit stuck to the paper, but paper's fine. And it's smooth. And now you can just glue this to this, and you have a shadow. And you didn't really have to spend any extra money for the dies that come with shadows. So that's kind of nice too. So that's just if you want a shadow, and I'll decide if I want to use this or not on the card. I did decide to put a white border around the card, but my paper was cut 8-2, and normally I would trim it down just so it would fit with a border, but the flowers fit perfectly on an A2 size card. So I'm actually using a little bit bigger card. I cut this, and this is 4.5 by 5 3/4. So it is just, what is that, 1/4 inch larger than the original A2 size black card, and it would just leave a border that way. So since this is a little bit bigger, it won't fit into an A2 size envelope. I bought a box, and they're pretty inexpensive on Amazon, and they're A6 size envelopes. So they're A6 size envelopes, and this card will fit in this envelope. I just like to know that I have a backup in case I decide this, and I just thought it looked better with a white border, and I like the way it fit on an A2 size front. So I'm going to glue this all together, and I'll show you the completed card. Here's my completed card. I ended up using a white outline for the sentiment. Here's some additional cards I made with the same die set. If you liked this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks so much.